My parents invited everyone to the family reunion except me, so I posted a vacation photo with a caption that explained everything they tried to hide. I'm a 28-year-old woman, and if I had to describe my role in my family, it would be this: the background character in someone else's story. My parents have always had a favorite, my older brother, Josh, the golden child. The one who could crash the car and still get a pat on the back for trying his best, while I'd get scolded for breathing too loud during dinner. It's not like I didn't notice growing up. I just learned to swallow it. Every birthday party, every Christmas morning, every family dinner somehow revolved around Josh. If I got a good job for acing an exam, he'd get a full-blown barbecue for remembering to call Grandma. And I'd still smile, pretending it didn't sting, 'cause that's what you do when you're desperate to belong. Even now, as an adult, I still find myself trying to stay connected. I call home first. I send gifts on birthdays. I show up when they need help moving or fixing something, even when no one shows up for me. My friends call it emotional begging, but I can't help it. They're my family. And some foolish part of me keeps believing they'll see me one day. It was a Thursday night when my cousin Sarah called. She was practically shouting into the phone, "I can't wait to see you next weekend." It's been forever. I froze. "Next weekend?" I asked, confused. "Yeah, the family reunion. Everyone's coming. Aunt Lisa even booked that lake house again." Her words hung in the air like a cruel joke. My heart started pounding. I forced a laugh and said, "Oh, yeah, can't wait." When we hung up, I stared at my silent phone, waiting for a message, an invite, anything. It never came. That's when it hit me. They didn't forget. They excluded me that night. I couldn't sleep. My mind kept looping Sarah's words. Everyone's coming. Everyone, except me. I tried convincing myself it was a misunderstanding, that maybe they were planning a surprise or forgot to add me to the group chat. But deep down, I already knew. That sinking, familiar ache told me this wasn't new. It was just finally undeniable. The next morning, I opened Facebook, and there it was. A fresh post from my aunt. Family reunion 2024, nothing like having everyone together again. My stomach turned. 30 smiling faces, cousins, uncles, grandparents, all packed under the Family Forever banner at the lake house. I grew up visiting every summer. I zoomed in on the photo. My parents right in the middle, arms around Josh like he was the pride of the clan. My name wasn't tagged anywhere. I scrolled through the comments, each one cutting deeper. Such a beautiful family. So good to see everyone together. Even my grandmother commented, the whole family reunited at last. I don't know what hurt more, the exclusion or the lie. I called my mom. It went to voicemail. I texted her, "Hey, I saw pictures from the reunion. Did I miss something?" No reply. Hours passed. I tried my dad. He picked up after 3 rings, his voice casual, almost cheerful. "Oh, hey, kiddo. What's up?" "I just saw the reunion photos," I said quietly. Why wasn't I invited? There was a pause, long enough to feel like he was calculating. Then came his answer, light and dismissive. "Oh, that? It was just a small get-together. Nothing major." I looked again at the 30 smiling faces. Small get-together, huh? I hung up before he could say anything else, my hand shaking. For the first time, I started to wonder, how long had they been rewriting the story without me? The next day, my mom finally called back, her voice syrupy sweet. The kind she uses when she's already decided she's the victim. "Oh, honey," she began, "I saw your text. You're overreacting again? It wasn't even a real reunion, just a few people dropping by." I almost laughed. A few people? There were custom t-shirts and a rented bounce house in the photos. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice steady, "there were 30 people there. You had banners, catering, and a family photo session. How is that not a reunion?" Her tone sharpened. "Why are you always so dramatic? You've been so distant lately. I didn't think you'd even want to come." That line hit me like a slap. "Distant?" I repeated. "I call every week. I drove 6 hours for Christmas last year when everyone else canceled. How is that distant? Then my dad chimed in from the background. I could hear him muttering. She's always making it about herself. Something inside me cracked. You excluded me, I said. Just admit it. Shh. Watch your tone, my mother snapped. We're not going to sit here and be accused of things after everything we've done for you. And there it was, the switch. The manipulation. The way they twisted every conversation until I was the ungrateful child and they were the wounded saints. I felt my throat tighten. I'm not trying to fight, I whispered. I just want to know why. But she'd already moved on. I don't have time for this nonsense. You always look for reasons to be offended. Then the line went dead. I just sat there, staring at the silent phone in my hand, listening to the echo of her words, nonsense. That's what my feelings were to her, nonsense. And for the first time in my life, I realized no amount of being the good daughter would ever make me part of that family photo. 2 days later, I got a message from my cousin Sarah, the same one who'd called me about the reunion. It just said, "Hey, I didn't realize you weren't invited. I'm so sorry." My heart started racing. So sorry. Those 2 words told me everything. I asked her to call, and when she did, her voice sounded nervous. Like she was saying something she shouldn't. Your mom told everyone you couldn't make it, she said softly. She said you were taking a break from family stuff after that big fight a few years ago. I went silent. My brain struggled to process it. Wait. She told people I didn't want to come. Sarah hesitated. Yeah, honestly, most of us thought you were just keeping your distance. Your mom said it was your choice. I felt my chest tighten. That fight she mentioned? It wasn't some dramatic blow-up. It was me finally standing up for myself. I'd called my parents out for always favoring Josh, for ignoring me unless they needed something. My dad told me I was being ungrateful and disrespectful. And I remember him saying, "You'll regret pushing us away." At the time, I thought he meant emotionally. I didn't realize he meant literally. Sarah lowered her voice. Honestly, I think they didn't want you there because they didn't want questions. They wanted it to look perfect. Her words hung in the air. Perfect. That was all my parents ever wanted, a picture-perfect family, even if it meant erasing me from the frame. When we hung up, I stared at the reunion photos again. Suddenly, every smile looked staged, every laugh hollow. They didn't just forget me. They rewrote me out of their story. And for the first time, I felt something sharper than sadness. I felt rage. That night, I couldn't stop replaying Sarah's words. They didn't want questions. My parents hadn't just lied about me. They'd erased me to protect their image. And the worst part? It all traced back to one night, the night everything broke. I was 23 when it happened. We were at Josh's engagement dinner, a lavish event at a fancy restaurant my parents paid for in full. I'd just been promoted at work, something I was proud of. I mentioned it casually, smiling, hoping for even a tiny nod of approval. My mom didn't even look up from her wine. That's nice, dear. But let's not make tonight about you. Josh smirked and said, Come on, let her have her 5 seconds, Mom. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile, but something inside me snapped. I said quietly, You know, it's never about me. Not birthdays, not holidays, not anything. I don't even know why I bother showing up anymore. The table went silent. My dad leaned forward, his voice calm but venomous. You show up because we raised you. Maybe try being grateful instead of jealous.
Oh.
That word burned through me. I stood up, shaking. I'm not jealous, Dad. I just wanted to feel like part of this family. Mom's eyes flashed. You always find a way to ruin things. You love playing the victim? Josh muttered. Here we go again. Walked out that night, tears blurring everything. I thought time would heal it, that we'd eventually talk it out. But they never called. Instead, they rewrote that night into a story about me being dramatic and cutting them off. Now, years later, I realized that was the night they started pretending I didn't exist. And maybe that's why the reunion photos looked so perfect. It finally mastered life without the problem child. After the call with Sarah, I spent the entire weekend pacing my apartment, trying to make sense of it all. Every memory, every forced smile, every maybe next time from my parents suddenly felt tainted. I had spent years believing I was too sensitive, too demanding, too much. But now, I saw it clearly. They had built an entire narrative around me being the problem so they could feel blameless. Still, part of me clung to hope. Maybe if I explained myself, if I reminded them of who I really was, they'd understand. So, against my better judgment, I called my aunt. She'd always been kind, the peacemaker of the family. "Sweetheart," she said when she answered, "I'm glad you called." I wanted to say, "We missed you." Her words hit like a wave. "Missed me?" I asked softly. "Well," she continued, hesitant, "your mom told everyone you didn't want to come, that you needed space. We all thought we were respecting your wishes." I felt my stomach drop. "That's not true," I said, voice trembling. "I was never invited." There was silence on the line, a silence thick with realization. "Oh, honey," she whispered. I didn't know. That was it. The last piece fell into place. My parents hadn't just lied once, they'd been curating a story for years. A story where I was cold, distant, selfish. And the family believed it because my parents were charming and composed, while I was the emotional one, the easy scapegoat. When we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed and just broke. The kind of crying that steals your breath, that comes from every year you swallowed pain to keep peace. In that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was done. Done begging for love that was never coming in the days that followed. I went silent. No calls, no texts, nothing. My parents didn't reach out, and I didn't expect them to. Silence had always been their favorite weapon, but this time, it wasn't punishment. It was power. I stopped waiting for their apologies and started reclaiming the energy. I'd wasted trying to earn their love. For the first time in years, I made choices for me. I cooked my favorite meals without thinking about who'd criticize the portions. I booked a solo trip, something I'd always wanted but never dared because family comes first. It felt strange at first, freeing and terrifying at the same time. Like walking barefoot on new ground after years of crawling. One night, I scrolled through the family's group posts again. Every picture screamed perfection. Sunset bonfires, matching shirts, my mom's captions dripping with pride. Family is everything. The irony was almost poetic. I realized then that their love wasn't unconditional, it was performative. It existed only when people were watching. That realization didn't make me sad anymore. It made me calm. Dangerous, even. I started thinking less about how to make them understand and more about how to make the truth visible, not through screaming or accusations, but through something simple and undeniable. When my cousin Sarah texted again, saying it's weird. "Everyone's acting like nothing happened," I replied. "That's fine. I'll remind them." She asked, "What do you mean?" I smiled at the screen, typing slowly, "You'll see." Because for once, I wasn't going to confront them with words. I was going to do what they hated most, show the truth, publicly, quietly, in a way they couldn't control, or spin into another lie. And that's when the idea for the vacation post was born. The trip was everything my childhood never was, peaceful, quiet, and mine. I flew to the coast, booked a small cabin overlooking the water, and turned off every notification except for my camera. The first morning, I stood barefoot in the sand, watching the sun rise over waves that didn't need my permission to exist. For once I felt seen, not by anyone else, but by myself. It was there, standing under that soft pink sky, that I wrote the caption, simple, honest, raw. Sometimes family reunions happen without you, and sometimes peace does too. Especially when you stop sitting at tables where love is conditional. I took a photo, me smiling softly with the ocean behind me, and hit post. No hashtags, no filters, just truth. I didn't think much of it at first. I went about my day, walking through the coastal market, buying handmade jewelry, laughing with strangers. But when I got back to my cabin that evening, My phone was exploding. Missed calls, messages, comments. The post had spread like wildfire across family circles. Sarah texted first. "Oh my God, everyone's talking about your post." Then my brother. "You didn't have to be petty online." Even my mom left a comment, a vague, defensive one. Some people just love drama. For the first time in my life, I didn't delete it. I didn't explain myself. I just let the truth breathe. By midnight, relatives I hadn't spoken to in years were messaging me privately, "Wait, you weren't invited?" And all I replied was, "No, I wasn't." It wasn't rage that fueled me anymore. It was peace. And peace, when exposed to liars, is louder than any scream. The next morning, I woke up to the kind of chaos my family had always pretended they were above. The group chat, the one I'd been quietly removed from months ago, had exploded. Screenshots from Sarah started flooding in. My parents arguing with relatives, cousins defending me, and my mom typing long paragraphs about how hurt she was by my public outburst. Apparently, my post had hit harder than I imagined. It wasn't just the caption, it was what it exposed. Everyone was now realizing there had been a reunion, and I hadn't been there. People were asking why. My parents' perfect facade was cracking, and for the first time, they couldn't control the narrative. My dad finally called. His voice wasn't calm this time. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" He snapped. "You embarrassed your mother in front of the entire family." I took a breath. "I didn't embarrass anyone, Dad. I just told the truth. That post was unnecessary," he hissed. "You could have handled this privately." I almost laughed. "Privately? Like how you handled the reunion invites?" He went silent for a moment, then said, "You're blowing this out of proportion. People misunderstand things online." Did I misunderstand being erased?" I asked quietly. "Or did that part happen offline too?" There was a sharp exhale, then the familiar click. He hung up. Minutes later, Sarah texted again. "Half the family is siding with you." Aunt Lisa literally said they always treated her like an outsider. Reading that, I didn't feel vindicated. I felt calm. Years of manipulation and lies were unraveling on their own. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to explain. The truth was finally louder than their image. And for the first time in my life, I realized something powerful. I didn't need to fight for a place in their family anymore. I'd already built my peace outside of it. By the next day, it wasn't just my relatives talking, it was everyone. Family, friends, church members, even neighbors who'd known us for years had seen the post and started connecting the dots. My mom's carefully curated world, her perfect Facebook family, her "look how blessed we are" image, was collapsing one comment at a time. Aunt Lisa posted something that made it worse for them. Family should mean inclusion, not selective memory. It got dozens of likes from cousins and even a few family friends. That single comment flipped the spotlight right onto my parents. Suddenly, people were asking why I was excluded, and no one was buying their excuses anymore. That evening, I got a text from my dad. It was short, cold, and defensive. "Your mother is in tears. You've humiliated us. Congratulations." For once, I didn't respond. I didn't owe him the emotional labor of explaining why truth isn't humiliation. Later that night, Sarah called. "You should have seen it," she said. "Your mom tried to blame the invite on a mix-up, but everyone knew it was a lie. Grandma even said if it was a mistake, why was her name missing from every email?" I almost didn't believe her. My grandmother, the same woman who'd always taken my parents' side, had defended me. It hit me then. The truth wasn't just freeing me. It was rewriting the story they'd forced everyone to believe for years. Their silence, their manipulation, their polished image. It was all unraveling because I finally chose honesty over approval that night. I turned off my phone and sat on the balcony of my cabin, watching the ocean shimmer under moonlight. For the first time, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen, and not because of validation, but because I had stopped hiding from my own truth. A week after the storm settled, my phone buzzed with a name I hadn't seen in months. Josh, my golden child brother. For a second, I considered ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hey," his voice was softer than I remembered. almost unsure. I just wanted to check in. I waited. Silence stretched between us, heavy with years of resentment. He finally sighed. Look, I know Mom and Dad messed up. I didn't know they didn't invite you, okay? They told me you didn't want to come. I didn't respond right away. I wanted to believe him, but the ache in my chest said otherwise. And you never questioned that? I asked quietly. You really thought I'd skip a family reunion for no reason? He hesitated. Honestly. They've said stuff like that for years. That you were always angry, distant. I guess I believed him because it was easier. His words stung more than I expected, not because they were cruel, but because they were honest. I'm sorry, he continued. I should have called you. I should have noticed. For a moment, I almost forgave him. Almost. But then I remembered all the birthdays he forgot. All the times he laughed when our parents mocked me for being too emotional. Appreciate you saying that, I said softly. But you stood there in those reunion photos, smiling. You didn't notice I wasn't there. You didn't want to. He didn't argue. Just whispered, You're right. Before hanging up, he added, If it means anything, I told them they went too far. Mom's been crying nonstop. I exhaled slowly. She's crying because the truth finally cost her something. When the call ended, I didn't feel angry, just empty. Forgiveness wasn't owed. Not yet, maybe not ever. Because sometimes, the people who stay silent while you're erased are just as guilty as the ones holding the pen. Months passed. The noise faded. The calls stopped, the group chats died, and the family gatherings became quieter. For the first time, the silence wasn't suffocating. It was peaceful. I moved into a new apartment, closer to the city. Started therapy. Began meeting people who didn't measure love in appearances or obedience. My therapist once said, sometimes the most painful loss is the one that frees you. I finally understood what she meant. Losing my family wasn't destruction. It was liberation. Occasionally. I'd see glimpses of them online, my mom posting Bible verses about forgiveness. My dad sharing motivational quotes about family unity. Irony didn't sting anymore. It just reminded me of how far I'd come. I even bumped into Aunt Lisa at a grocery store once. She hugged me and said, You did the right thing. They needed to be exposed. I smiled, but I told her I didn't do it to expose them. I did it to stop erasing myself. She nodded, eyes soft. That's exactly why it worked. Now on quiet nights, I still scroll through that old post, the one that changed everything. The comments have slowed, but it's still there, untouched. A digital scar and a badge of truth. Sometimes I wonder if my parents ever read it again. If they ever look at the ocean in that photo and realize that the peace they tried to deny me found me anyway. Because the truth is, I didn't ruin our family. I just revealed the cracks they worked so hard to paint over. And when people ask me if I regret it, I always say the same thing. No, they erased me to protect their image. But when I told the truth, I didn't destroy the family. I just stopped pretending to belong to it. Then I smile, not bitter, not broken, just free.